Alrighty, well this little piece of shit's failed us. Yeah, won't get the water up past the top of the IBC. It's sort of, even if the sun's out, it comes and goes, and you give it a shake and it bursts to life, and then it sort of stops again. I think the brushes in it are probably stuffed or something like that. You can't expect much from little tiny Chinese tiddlers like that. Anyway, it's just not doing what it's got to do, and that is literally, the head on it is supposed to be 1.2 metres or something like that, and we're not even, getting half that. And basically, it's just not playing ball. I was going to use the one out of the, what's his name? Out of the bathroom, but I've had a bit of a realisation. I thought, holy smoke, this takes a lot of power, and I've actually worked out how much power it takes. This does 3.3 litres a minute. The one in the bathroom does 15.5 litres a minute, which is basically 3.4 US gallons a minute. That's 2.4 watts. The one in the bathroom is something like 132 watts. Now, basically speaking, if it's 15.5 litres versus 3.3, a rough quick bit of maths, 5 times 3 is 15, it's a bit more than 3, it's a little bit more than 15. You'd need 5 of these to do the same thing. Trouble is that you work out 5 times 2.4. Now let's just say that's 2.5 watts, just for theory's sake. Well, that'd be 12.5 when you times that by 5. 12.5 watts to move the same amount of water that something that takes 132 watts moves. So that means when you work out all of that, the one in the bathroom takes practically 11-fold the electricity to move the same amount of water if I was using these. 5 of these and I'd move the same amount of water at 11-fold the electricity. That's friggin' ridiculous. To be quite honest, like, I got the little, right there, I got a biscuit tin in the way, but right there is the box that has the, what's his name? Cardboard house, sealed lead acid battery in it, full river battery, 26 amp hour, and I think it's got a maximum draw ongoing of about 7 amps and absolute maximum of about 9 amps before you really start, damaging the battery. And I think, we're coming close to that with the one that's in the bathroom that used to draw out of a wood hot water system. The pure fact of the matter is, I am going to have to basically, as I was saying before, make up some, a bit of 4x2 with 2 bits of brass pipe stuck in there, and basically use jumper leads off the car hooked onto the brass pipe to run this damn thing. I'm going to have to leave a car idling to move frickin' water, and then even then I'm only moving 15.5 litres or 3.4 gallons a minute, but I've got a 6-cylinder engine idling to do that. I want to be able to have a pump that I can use off of that little battery. And quite frankly, I don't really want to have to run a 6-cylinder engine to pump that water. I also don't want to come to next summer and say, well, I've got to move this water, but I've got to run this 6-cylinder engine to do it, unless I've got a deep cycle battery there. And in that, it means that I've got to, park a car for 20 minutes over friggin' dry grass with the exhaust getting hot. Too much fire risk. And the pure fact of the matter is, how the hell come it uses 11-fold the power of what these would? There is a bit of an answer in that. This is only a little fountain pump. It's supposed to have an open outlet with no constrictions. The other one is designed to build up a fair bit of pressure to use inside an RV or a pretty advanced camper as your water pump for your RV or something like that. It's designed to handle and build up a lot of pressure, but the fact is I don't need pressure. I'm only pumping out of an IBC, and all I need is the ability to lift this water a few feet, and then I'm fine. And yeah, it's just, it's 132 watts is just too much when 12.5 could do the same thing. So I might be going to pump shops tomorrow, and if I can't get any from pump shops, I'll go to pet stores. There's a few aquarium stores. One of them I've been to is really good, and they're really cluey. And they're very smart when it comes to a lot of things. That happens to be only literally about 15 metres from where I bought that one for the wood hot water system, but they would sell bigger versions of this. That may be, 30 or 40 watts, but will actually shift some friggin' water because they, really know their game with aquarium stuff. Failing that, there's another place called Total Eden, and I'll go there. And they used to be known as, they've gone through several names, and one of them was Plastic Plumbing, and they have all the plumbing fittings in the world, and all the plumbing fittings that I have around here are from there. And they also have water pumps. That's where that stupid one I was showing with the crack come from. I basically need anything that will fit through the top of an IBC, and if that happens to be 240 volt powered, then so be it. I'll start up the bloody generator and use it. And that, I'd like it if I could get it battery powered, but if it's only 240 volt powered ones I can get, well, I'll do that also, because the generator's sitting in its place and will pump water there. I can take the generator down in the paddock and whatnot. The trick with that is you can sometimes carry that in the trailer, so then there's no fire risk because you've got it inside a metal trailer, and you run it sitting in the back of a trailer. But anyway, I'm probably going to go out and do that tomorrow. I tell you the honest truth, I've been sleeping for the last 6 hours straight. I got up early, went out and sprayed the remainder of the weeds, and then went and got my last load of water, and then started stuffing around on the internet. The stupid fucking laptop. When you get a new computer, you think it's going to be fine. This stupid bloody... It's a warmportrait.com virus, it's known as. It hijacks your browser. And that bastard, I've got some software that's called Malwarebytes, which gets rid of it. It used to have real-time running as its trial. The trial period ran out. I have a prepaid Visa card around here with $80. No, hang on. It's about 100. It's 120 bucks left on the damn prepaid Visa card, which would allow me to buy the full version of that Malwarebytes and run that constantly on the laptop, and that would block any bullshit from going on. I've looked at manual ways to clear it out, and this Malwarebytes, when it runs live, you'll get rid of it. Like, it won't even occur because it's running live and it's watching your browsing. As you're doing your browsing, it blocks it automatically, and just has a little thing pop up on the screen to say, bang, that one was blocked. But otherwise, you've got to basically get stuffed up by it, close down Chrome, then run it to scan it and get it out of your system, which will take about 10 minutes, and then you're right to go again. But it seems to happen all the bloody time when I'm on anything other than major sites. If I'm on Google search, it's fine. I go into Wikipedia, it's fine. YouTube, it's fine. Gmail, it's fine. Some of the major sites, it's fine. As soon as you go into like a little news service or something like that, shit, it all starts up again. Which sort of pisses me off. But if I could find this stupid-ass prepaid Visa card, I might be able to buy the full version and be back to life protection on that Malwarebytes. So anyway, just shits me that I've got rid of it so many times, and I've cleared the cache. One time I got rid of it just by clearing the cache of Chrome, and it just keeps coming back though, so it sort of pisses me off. Another thing, this has happened, I didn't mention this, but this has happened for about a week or two. I'm not joking. The bastard's got a pixel out. 6 weeks old, and the fucking thing has a pixel go out. So I've got this black dot that's there the whole time. 6 weeks old, and a pixel goes out on the frickin' screen. I mean, yeah, I knew I was getting a cheap laptop, but fucking hell. Anyway, pisses me off that the thing that seems to be least affected by viruses, which also got the warm portrait virus, was the Android. And I got rid of that with CM Security browsing, and that, brilliant. Fixed it perfectly, never come back. Unfortunately, they don't have a Windows 10 version. They've got an Android version, and it works brilliantly. And I find now that more often than not, if I want to do any serious browsing, I've got to use the flaming tablet to avoid any bullshit and bloody shenanigans. And so the old tablet ends up getting a hell of a lot of use because this has more blooming virus protection than my brand new frickin' Windows 10 laptops. So work that shit out. Anyway, our old tablet is very handy for a lot of stuff, and I'll go in tomorrow and go to buy this pump, and in the process I'll probably upload a whole ton of bloomin' stuff out of the tablet again. As I said, you know, I sort of slept about 6 hours today because I just felt so worn out. There's just been so many days where I've been going to bed at 11:30 or 12:30, and then, you know, I'm up again thanks to kiddies at bloomin', you know, 5 a.m. It's always between 4:30 a.m. and 5 a.m. that there's some big bloody shift or movement, or, you know, mama comes in and they all want to feed off her, or mama comes in with a rat, or mama comes in and they all decide to get off the bed and then start banging and clanging, and next thing they're scratching the doors and walking in and out and meowing, and God. Anyway, that's what's been going on. Alrighty, it's about 9 o'clock. Just been sitting here reading for a minute. I've been down there before the sun went down, getting some box thorn that was very large, and amongst stuff I'd cut off, you know, I was sort of trimming out the smaller pieces and pulling out the larger logs. There's 4 logs of that other stuff that I'd cut out previously and I forgot to bring up, so I brought those up last night, and I brought some more box thorn up tonight, and there's a bit of cypress pine that's been laying on the ground for years. It's all gone rotten, so I grabbed hold of that near where my small trees are, and chucked that on the bonfire heap with all the rotten pine, all the rotten construction pine that I stacked up the other day. So yeah, that cypress pine's just been laying on the ground for so long it's just turned to shit itself. So yeah, wasn't going to be any good anyway. I have had a bit of a look at some of that 4x4 out there on the same stacks as the stuff I was throwing out, and the stuff that's there, if you know anything about radiata pine, well, if you don't, I'm going to tell you anyway. There's about 3 kinds of pine used for construction that are all pretty much of a muchness. But the one I remember is radiata, but most of it all looks the same. And then you've got cypress pine, which is sort of different and really not as common to find in construction material, although it is about, but it's not in great quantity. The radiata pine, all that sort of stuff with your pine needles, my sister's got a stack of that. They had some cut down, the neighbour cut it down for them, I think, and that was before they even moved in there, actually. And some of those logs, my brother-in-law was going to get what was called a Lucas mill. Bit of a spending spree he had there. At one point he was going to get one of those, considering it. They're thousands of dollars. They're like friggin' somewhere between $6,000 and $9,000, I think. That didn't eventuate. They are basically where you can have a log laying on the ground and a whole framework set up around it, and then you slice up slabs. Well, he got this cheap thing that's I don't know if it cost him $20 or $50. It couldn't have cost any more than $50, which is a smaller thing on a similar principle that you bolt your chainsaw bar into and slice up slabs of wood. One of my best ranking older videos when I first had my channel was a guy doing that kind of thing at a show. Lo and behold, my brother-in-law has that sort of a rig now, and it's only a cheap Chinese thing, but I'll tell you what, it works flipping good because the slabs of wood come out quite nicely. None of them are cracked. He even made skirting board, believe it or not. And some of that, a little bit of it warped, but a lot of it was quite good. You know, cut out of a tree that's been felled, oh God, like 2 years ago or something. Anyway, it stays fine, except when it's been sitting out in the weather for a few years, and the first thing it'll do is start to split. That's right, your construction pine, your radiata pine will start to split, and that's what's happened to a lot of this stuff that's in the stacks underneath and beside the same stuff that I ended up throwing in the bonfire pile there. And never mind that noise, a kitten getting up on my lap. And I was having a look at that, and a lot of it's starting to split, and I know the very next step is the whole lot is going to go rotten, because first it's fine, then it starts to split, then it goes grey and just turns rotten. And if you see it starting to turn grey, you know, you're just about too late. If you see it starting to split, it's no good to use for construction. But having said that, it hasn't gone rotten just yet, but that will be the next step. So I begrudgingly am going to have to cut up friggin' shitloads. A few cubic metres worth by the looks, probably about... I didn't want to have to do this, but it's probably going to have to be about 5 cubic metres at least, if not more. So anyway, I've decided that I'm going to do that, because if I don't, I'm going to be throwing that in a bonfire heap that's rotten. I can stack some in the green Nissan. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's my uncle's old car. I had a bit of 8x8 pine stacked in the back, on the back seat, some on the front passenger seat, and in the boot, or as you call it in America, the trunk. And I used to just open the trunk / boot and pull some out and use it in the wood heater. That was the 8x8, and this 4x4 that I'll be getting into, I may end up sticking that in the same place. I can stack a bit under a truck. There's another old car, actually there's 2 trucks I can stack it under. There's another old white car from the 60s, which has got a bit of kindling. I may throw a bit in there. I don't really want to, but I could put a little bit under my bed. There's quite a bit of room to stack it in the, what's his name, in the bathroom. The fortunate thing with dealing with construction wood that you're going to use as firewood is the whole lot is pretty much, aside from over the entire length, square. You know, it'll be cut in a square shape, and over the entire, 14 foot or whatever, it might curve to one side, but if you're cutting it into lengths that are only, a foot long or, 2 foot long or whatever, you're going to be right, sort of thing. So last year I didn't use the wood stove because I had the 3-ring propane burner, and I was using the pressure cooker quite a lot, and you can't sort of have that sitting in the hearth and then use the wood stove without having a real fire accident. Off the table! Anyway, this year I will make a point of trying to use that wood stove, probably in an effort just to go through some of this 4x4 pine that I'm going to have to use up. And the other thing is the heated hothouse. I could stack it at the other end of the hothouse from where I'm going to have the wood heater there, and basically just then use that to feed it into the heated hothouse. There may be another thing occurring. I may actually be using that in part, but not all the time, because I look after a house during the winter. It's sort of not always at a specified time each year. It always varies. But in that, I'm likely to get one of these heated propagation trays, the waterproof ones that are like 9 watts or 12 watts, just to put my lemon scented verbena in with that in the on-grid house, and probably put a bit of silver foil around it and over the top of it, up against a window they have there or something like that. Just in an attempt to not make it such a hassle, and the fact that I could just sort of, use that, and it's, it is using an on-grid house, but it saves having to run back and light a fire every 12 hours guaranteed to keep the heat up in a heated hothouse, which means I'll be able to, get home whenever I want and do whatever I want during the majority of the winter, but it's not the whole winter. So some of the winter and, of course, early spring when we still get the odd frost and that, I'm going to have to use the heated hothouse properly in its standard wood-fired capacity that I will be building it to. Anyway, I blabbed on for long enough there. Well, those of you who saw the video about Tater's homestead, gave him a bit of a hats off for making a go of things. Would have seen the water pump I'm about to show you. Little lemon scented verbena has been hiding in here last few days. It smells beautiful with this little resident funny looking spider, little cream coloured spider. Anyway, here is the device. Tends to have a bad tendency to float. I don't know what the hell that is all about. Oh, and it looks as though the front's going to come off. It also looks as though the bottom might swivel off too, which would be good if I could get the bottom to... the bottom will swivel left and right. Anyway, I'm supposed to have a filter in that, apparently, but it doesn't really make much difference either way. I think it sits on there anyway. Yeah, just clicks in place. Yeah, that's on there properly. I tell you what, it's not very good trying to set it on an agitator either. While you're all whinging about it. There's some lights on here. There we go. Now, have a look at this. By the way, I got it wrong. It's not 50 litres a minute. It's not 3,000 litres an hour. It's 3,200 litres an hour on a low head and 3,000 litres an hour on a higher head. As your head gets higher, it slows down. There's some that just, if you've got a clear pipe, you go over the head, you'll see the water rise up to the head that it's supposed to get to, and then it just sits there in the clear pipe, and that means you're trying to make a pump do more than it can. Anyway, bear in mind I have a residual current device between this and the generator, so I'm not going to kill myself by getting water on the thing. Look at this. Friggin' look at it. Woo! Ah! That is power! That is power! Woo! Woo! That is shocking power. For a lousy $126, that is real power. And I am pleased as punch about that, because honestly, that water's coming out of this 3/4 inch hose faster than it comes out of the 1 inch hose on the little giant submersible pump. And if you want to know the price tag on that thing, it was, it was around $350. But that's because it's got all the high temperature seals in it and all that sort of stuff for the hot water with the submersible pump, meaning I can use it in a shower if need be. This thing, not so much. It's just pretty standardised. I think it can take 30-something degrees Celsius, around 90-ish Fahrenheit, probably without a problem. It'll do tropical water, which means probably around 90 Fahrenheit. But I don't think much hotter than that. What it'll also do is, just as I find out, I had a look in one in my bathroom, it's approved for bilge use, which means getting salt water out of the bottom of boats which are especially helpful if your boat's sinking, or if you just got bloody big waves that keep washing over the side. And this is also approved for saltwater applications and freshwater applications, but my other one that I have had the wood hot water system on, that's approved for marine use in boats, pumping out salt water out of boats. But yeah, groovy. I don't think I'm going to have much access to dealing with salt water unless I get some saltwater fish that I decide to feed on some sort of a friggin' pellet thing I make up or something. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, I don't think I'm going to be using it for salt water, but you never know what the future holds. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. 80 watts of power with a real hell of a blast of water there and a capability of 3.5 metres ahead. This, you know, let's have another look at this shit. This is supposed to go in a fucking aquarium. Here, little fishies, want to swim past this? It's the largest one built by a mob called Aqua One. They do a whole stack of other little things, but this I think is more your 4 aquariums in a row style system. This is more your, I'm going to try aquaponics because I've got 5 IBCs full of fish, and then I'm going to try and grow hydroponic lettuce with that sort of pump. You know, it's a pretty full-on sort of a dealio, and yeah, good purchase for a dude who only took $200 because he didn't want to overspend too much on an excessively big pump, but he looks like he's got a pump that, by hell, you know, is not quite as good as the big sump pumps, but it ain't too far behind, especially for doing things that may need to be done. And I mean, you know, geez, that could give me a garden hose to friggin' wash my car or something like that if need be, you know, because the pressure coming out of that, honestly, it seems a higher pressure than the 1-inch submersible pump made by Little Giant that I have